going to be straight with you. The iPhone Fold isn't just another iPhone. It's the phone that's going to make Samsung look like they've been playing in the kiddie pool for the last 6 years. But here's the thing. 2 of these leaks changed my entire read on the iPhone Fold. And the last one changes whether you should wait for this phone or buy something else entirely. Let's get into it. Let's start with the question everyone's actually asking. When is this thing coming out? Here's the honest take. Multiple supply chain sources are now pointing to a September 2026 launch, right alongside the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max. Not a separate event, not a someday, the same month. But here's the thing, getting here wasn't smooth. Reports surfaced earlier this year that mass production had to be pushed back by about 2 months because of issues during early manufacturing. For a minute, that had people wondering if Apple would punt the whole thing to 2027. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman shut that down directly, saying the Foldable will land around the same time as the iPhone 18 Pro, or soon after. What matters here is what that timing means for you. Apple isn't waiting for Samsung to work out every kink in foldable hardware anymore. They're shipping this fall, production headaches and all, which means this is the first year you can actually choose between a Samsung Fold and an Apple Fold in the same shopping season. The catch? Short supply. Multiple reports agree that the early units could be hard to get, which means if you want one at launch, you're going to want to be fast, not patient. Now let's talk about the design, because this is where the leaks get interesting. The most recent display leaks point to an inner screen right around 7.8 inches. That's nearly identical to the iPad mini's 8.3-inch screen, which means unfolding this phone is basically unfolding a mini iPad in your pocket. The outer display, the one you see when it's closed, is landing around 5.5 inches. Samsung's current Z Fold cover screen is bigger than that, which means Samsung is still betting that the cover screen needs to replace your whole phone experience, while Apple looks to be betting the opposite. Keep the outside compact and let the unfolding be the moment that matters. The crease? This is the part Apple's reportedly chasing regardless of cost. Samsung Display has apparently locked in a multi-year exclusive deal to build Apple's foldable OLED, using a new hinge and layer stack specifically engineered to make the crease disappear. If that holds up, it's a real differentiator. Samsung's own Fold still shows a visible crease under direct light on an $1,800 plus phone. And here's a detail most coverage is glossing over. No Face ID. The chassis is reportedly thin enough, somewhere in the 4 to 5 millimeter range unfolded, that there's no room for the true depth camera system. Apple's solution is Touch ID, built into the side power button, the same way it works on the iPad Air and iPad mini. Which means Apple's most expensive iPhone ever might be the only current iPhone that unlocks with your thumb instead of your face. Now, the part nobody wants to hear, the price. The most recent reporting has actually walked the number down from where it sat a year ago. Early estimates floated $2,399 as the starting price. The latest leaks point to a starting price closer to $1,999, with storage upgrades adding roughly $200 a step. So $2,199 for the next tier, and up around $2,399 for the top-end model. The Samsung Z Fold 6 starts at $1,899. Apple's coming in at the same starting point as a $100 premium over that, which means the headline price isn't the shock people expected a year ago, but the fully loaded version absolutely still is. So is $1,999 actually expensive for a phone and a tablet in one device? Or is that the exact question Apple wants you to be asking? Here's the thing. Apple doesn't compete on price. They never have. They compete on perceived value. And if the display really is crease-free, if Touch ID actually works seamlessly without Face ID, if this thing genuinely replaces your phone and your tablet, then Apple's pitch isn't, buy our foldable. It's, this isn't a foldable. This is a phone and an iPad in one device. Buy them separately and you'd spend more than that anyway. Classic Apple. Reframe the comparison so the price looks like a deal. Whether you buy that framing is up to you, but that's the play. Here's the leak that made me sit up. The iPhone Fold is reportedly launching with the same A20 Pro chip as the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max, Apple's first chip built on TSMC's new 2nm process. But here's the thing, this isn't just the same chip, smaller. The A20 Pro is reportedly using a new packaging method called wafer-level multi-chip module, which puts the RAM directly onto the same wafer as the CPU, GPU, and neural engine instead of sitting next to it. Which means faster data access between memory and processor, better thermal behavior, and more physical space freed up inside the phone for things like, say, a battery big enough to survive running 2 apps side by side on a 7.8-inch display. So no, Apple didn't build a brand new, foldable exclusive chip from scratch. What they did is give their entire 2026 flagship lineup, foldable included, a real architecture jump. 2 nanometers, restructured memory, and reportedly 15% faster performance with 30% better efficiency than last year's chip. Which means the Fold isn't getting a watered-down processor to hit a price point. It's getting the same engine as Apple's best phones, just asked to do more with it. So what does a 2-nanometer chip actually mean for you? It means this phone won't melt running 2 apps side by side, and the battery won't die by lunch. Alright, here's the leak that actually changes the calculus. Apple isn't slapping iPadOS onto this thing. That rumor's been floating around, but it's not what the current leaks say. What iOS 27 is reportedly getting instead is a new multitasking mode that lets a single app split into 2 parallel windows on the same screen. If that sounds familiar, it's because Huawei's been doing something similar with a feature called Parallel View on its foldables for a while now. Which means Apple isn't pioneering split screen on foldables, they're following. But here's why that's still a big deal. Samsung's Z Fold runs Android with a split screen mode that most apps barely support properly. Google's Pixel Fold ran into the exact same wall. The foldable industry's dirty secret has always been beautiful hardware paired with disappointing software. If Apple ships a polished version of this, one where apps actually behave correctly in split view because Apple controls both the hardware and the software top to bottom, it's not an original idea, but it might be the first time someone executes it well enough that it actually feels useful day to day. That's a smaller claim than full iPadOS on your phone. It's also the more honest one. So here's the bottom line. The iPhone Fold is coming in September 2026, alongside the iPhone 18 Pro lineup. It's expected to start under $2,000 and climb toward $2,400 for the top storage tier. It'll have a crease-free, if Apple pulls it off, 7.8-inch display, the same A20 Pro chip as the rest of the 2026 flagships, Touch ID instead of Face ID, and, if the leaks hold, a smarter take on split-screen multitasking than anything else on the market. If you've been waiting for Apple to do a foldable right, this is the closest they've ever gotten. If you're coming from a Samsung Z Fold, the question isn't whether Apple caught up, it's whether they're about to leapfrog. Subscribe to Tech Weekly right now so you don't miss a single update. Every leak, every confirmation, every spec, we cover it the moment it drops. Drop your answer in the comments right now. Are you waiting for the iPhone Fold? Or are you done with foldables entirely? As always, I read every single one.